I was at the grocery store the weekend before last.
You are live.
Okay. The Calvert City Cemetery Board meeting for July 25th is called to order at 4:37 PM. If everyone would please just look at your minutes from the last meeting. Do we have any additions or corrections that need to be made?
Need to get a motion first.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Been a while. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
Yeah.
Mike, Carol, and a second? Dale. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Okay, I'm gonna ask one favor. Pull the mics down towards your mouth because the people outside can't hear. That's one of the things we've seen is that the mics don't pick up as well as we would like. And so while we can hear fine with each other here, if they're out there trying to watch it, they can't hear you. So that helps. So
right.
thank you.
Motion carried. Did you get that, Mike, first?
Dale said it.
Got it. Okay, do we have old business?
Yes.
Yeah, we
Okay,
did
good.
vote.
Now,
We
my,
did vote.
my mind's out in left field.
Old business?
Last year, our budget came in under, decent, so, we wound up again this year putting in, we have a total budget of 30,000. We moved some money from operating cost we moved 2,000 from operating cost into capital. So if something comes up during the year, we've got 2,000 more in capital for capital projects than we had last year. Our operating costs should be covered because we base that. It should have been based on what the bids for this year. Hopefully next year's won't be any higher. Prices of gas seem to be stabilizing at this point. We'll see. They've actually come down somewhat. But
You have anything else? Does anybody have anything? I have some questions. Sorry.
yeah, old business or new business?
Well, this was probably a combination.
Okay.
One thing is, what kind of records are kept on the cemetery? What kind of records? I know we have the burial contracts, but how is that taken care of? How is that?
It's handled here in house.
I mean, do we
The
have?
city clerk, those records go to the city clerk, and the city clerk keeps up with the records just like anything else within the city. Any transfer or when someone purchases interment rights, or what they call barium, either, that's all kept in house.
Do we have like a database or a program that's in, or you know what I'm saying? Y'all are looking at me. I
Just
mean,
the old books,
I mean,
probably.
what kind of?
I'd have to get in with, we don't have a specific database that does that. We're working on those as well as you and I have been working on
the veterans.
the veterans. We're working on that as well because some of the questions we want to ask, especially service related, but other than that, right now it's not in a searchable database. It's in just a hard record.
So in order to find if someone is buried there, you would have to go
to the paperwork.
through the paperwork to
Yeah.
be able to find.
Just same paperwork that Nick, if you will bring to the cemetery for us. You have the books.
He's got, well, actually, he's got a book, and so does Glenda. So, but yeah, if you wanted, because Glenda's is the keeper of the record. Now, Nick, it may be the one that puts the records and stuff together, but he's supposed to turn all that over to her for keeping, because that's where it's supposed to be kept, is in the city.
Right, I know that as a board, we're not responsible for day-to-day operations. We're more of the overall thing. I guess the thing that sort of bothers me is when you have a question, if someone's buried there or where it might be, we have no idea. I mean, should we have access to that kind of information? And one thing I was looking at was, and I don't mean to be causing trouble. I just had questions. Because my notebook says 2009. Because I came on the board 2010. And it was just at that time, Gayla and Jeff on the board. And since then, you know, we've asked for if we can have updates. So I looked back through all of my, I'm sorry, I'm fanatic about keeping myself. But I looked through all of this, and the latest that I can find update is a burial in March of 2016. So we have not had any updates that I know of. Have we?
Mm-mm.
Since 2016.
They should be on the hard copies.
We've got hard copies, yes. They
But
just not, they,
We've not seen it. I mean, that's just what I'm asking. I'm just,
Sure.
should we have access?
I think we should, because we get phone calls sometimes after hours with questions.
well,
from
I think that,
residents.
and I'm not saying that you shouldn't have the access to information, but I really think that if someone's got direct questions about those things, they should come probably to Nick, because he's the sexton. And he's got the most accurate records. And so that way you may or may not have the most accurate. And that way it's not, and I mean, like I said, I don't mind you all having copies of all that. That's not a problem. The problem is I just want to make sure that it's all the information's coming from a single source instead of multiple sources that may or may not have all the right information. So
Yeah,
that's,
I guess that was just my thing, is
Sure.
how it's organized as far as the city records go. You know, I mean, if somebody called Glenda and they said, you know, we need to find out when so-and-so, if they were buried there, when they were buried there.
well,
And
we can
that-
only give them what we've got, honestly. You know, we still have burials that we don't know, we don't have records of, you know, because of,
Oh, yeah, the old ones.
but
I
old ones,
mean,
but the newer ones,
I mean,
yes.
just looking at this, you know, this had to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And the new ones, I don't understand why this couldn't be absorbed into this. I mean, that's just a question.
Yeah.
Because I was looking for something and it came to me that.
We've been toying with that for a while. And, you know, it needs to be, there needs to be something on the server that has all those records. And that's something we need to work on. And I'll see if I can get them moving on that, but, because that's one thing that I don't want just paper copies.
Mhm.
I want everything scanned in. I want there to be a digital record of it. That way, if there is a fire, we've got a digital. If there's a crash, or of course we back up in 3 different locations every day, multiple times a day. So as far as the records go, we've got 3 copies off-site somewhere throughout the United States that we can actually recover our data. Not to mention most of our hard copies, if they're not here, are in a environment controlled room, locked up. So,
And I guess one thing I was thinking of was that I know how hard everybody worked to try to get things updated once the city took over. You know, I know how long it took to do all that. We're all not going to be here in years to come. You know, I would like to be able to leave things for whoever takes over after us to where they'll know what's going on,
I understand.
you know?
That's my
And-
goal too.
It was hit or miss with Uncle Johnny.
Well, I mean, you know, when you have one person trying to do it all, it's not possible.
Exactly
And
right.
plus the fact of, I'm sure Dale could tell you, when you're trying to do a cemetery by yourself, you don't have the money to do it.
No, that's a struggle.
Yeah, it is. I know it is. And fortunately, with the city, they have always been so good to give us the money to be able to try to make the improvements that it just takes money. I mean,
Mhm.
there's no two
Well,
ways
maybe
about it.
it's a good idea to take the capital money we've got, see if you can find a program that would benefit us to have, to utilize that.
Records are essential, no doubt.
Yeah. And do we know, and here's, do we know where these came from? Do you all know where these, did somebody draw it?
Well, that was done by Don Livingston back in, and he used a CAD system that he had. So all we've got is what you got, it's the paper copy there.
Yeah.
They can be scanned in, but that's really all, but because Don did that, he was the one that put together basically the layout for the Fulton, the Fairview Cemetery and the Greenview Cemetery of Fulton. And he's the one that helped get our base started once we took that over.
Was that before or after the GPR was done?
This
That
was
was
before. Before.
Because that was.
That was
added,
years
right?
before the GPS,
Oh, yeah.
the ground penetrating radar
And
came
it's
in.
way.
But it's been updated. Somebody's copy, maybe it was Nick's,
Next copy.
where the, the unmarked graves and the unknowns were added to that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was done by Nick on Nick's.
Okay.
It should be on the master as
Okay.
well. So, but again, that's something that we can work on, trying to get it straightened out. We had been working on through the GPS, through GIS, the graves and then the information based on the GIS. And that kind of faltered because GIS has been turned more into IT instead of GIS. What I'm sorry, using the acronyms here. It was geographic information systems where they actually would have all these different layers, and you would have, we had all the cemetery graves, or most of them at that time, placed in the computer. And we were trying to build in that, you could select the grave and it would give you its cross-reference or its location and any information we had on that. That's what we were trying to build to, so that it was actually in our GIS database. But since GIS at the county level is spending more time working on just take the information, putting in phone systems, working on their computer systems, they haven't been able to actually pull through with that the way we'd like for it to happen. So we'll have to work on something else, and I'll see what we can come up with, because like I said, we got some money in the capital improvements. Let's see if we can go ahead and look to find some sort of maybe a system. I talked to Katie about it, what Bowling Green had, and I've got some information on that, so we may move forward with that, see if that will work for us. There's an actual software program or two out there that's for cemetery management. So,
Well, like I said, I just would like for us to be able to keep things updated to where, like I said,
Have a little more knowledge
Um,
than what we have right now.
I'll say something that people found out I was on the board, so they thought that I would know something. I mean, that I would have access to.
and you should. You
And,
should have one of
and
these
so
programs.
there's a lot of people out there that think just because we're on the board, we can answer about any question.
Exactly.
And that's what I have to do out there, is I have to answer every question, or there's no answer, one or two.
and that's for us, that's generally Nick and Glenda are the ones to answer those questions, because they readily have access to the most updated information.
It is, but still, John,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with
I
you.
mean, when you're on the board, people do, Dale. People think that you should know what's going on, and if you don't, you feel kind of bad about it, don't
Well,
Yeah.
not that I'm new, so I can sort of slide a little
Yeah.
bit because I don't know everything, but yeah, I would like to be able to answer their question when they ask it. Get some answers, or get somebody, a phone number from somebody. And this Nick and Glenda, I'm sorry, I don't know
Yeah.
them, but
Nick used to
if I
know.
could, maybe get a phone number on them,
That's not a problem. Glenda's up here. She's here at City Hall. But Nick, he's got a cell phone, and I'll get you that number.
but that might be what I need to do right now. If someone
He can
asks
give
me
you,
to
he can
refer
give you a
them to these-
faster answer probably than anybody out there.
Yeah.
Because he deals with it day in and day out.
And as long as we worked on those rules and regulations in the cemetery, you need to have those. I mean, we worked on those for a long time. And we still have questions. I still on the cremains thing, I still have questions about that. I looked in mine, I tried to find exactly what it said, when we were talking about how many cremains and a grave. Remember how long
You're
we
allowed-
went through all that?
One cremain
One body.
with one body. per
Yeah,
grade.
but I can't find
We
that.
were two, three mains, one body. And we changed that because of columbarium.
Right, but I can't find that in the,
In the minutes,
no, right here, and see, I've got this with the yellow, so that's ones that we were working on.
Do you
I
have a
know.
date on those regulations that you have? Make a note, and we'll send out to
It
everybody
says
updated regulations.
revised January 28th, 2019.
Okay.
So I'm sure we've changed
Updated
things. in it.
regulation, rules and regulations. for cemetery. Verse 19.
This was 2019. Is what this
I don't know that there's been any changes since then.
Well, I think this is different because we're talking about the cremains. Here it says cremated remains may be buried in grave spaces without regard to whether a body is buried in the same grave space at the discretion of the sexton or the board. Such burial shall be conducted in coordination and cooperation with the sexton and subject to the supervision of the sexton or his or her designee. So,
there's no number even listed there.
yeah, so I know this is the one we had to be working on.
We'll just make sure that everybody gets a new copy.
We had dropped it to one.
Yeah.
But after the
After the
columbarium, that's correct.
columbarium, that was one.
Yeah.
And, I mean.
Because, I mean, there would have been no sense in having a columbarium if we weren't gonna be able to put
and I
burials
know
and
there had
burials in
been
there,
an Issue,
three mains in there.
I know there had been an issue, and I don't know if that was settled.
It was resident, it was
Was
resolved.
that settled?
It was.
Because I didn't, when I
I think it
apologize, I
was-
haven't been here for 2 months. But
I think it was more over plot than it was anything, wasn't it?
They were trying to
Not
put,
enough.
they were trying to put multiple cremains in one lot, one lot.
Because they didn't think they had enough room.
I don't know what the reason was. I just know they were trying to put multiples in one. To the tune of 4 or something like that.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I think I was
But it's been taken care of. So,
okay, so we're doing this. Okay. Anyway,
Excellent.
yeah, okay.
I forgot, but I knew it.
Yeah.
You just forgot.
I think
I
it
slept
was on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's when we were gone, you know, because I got,
What else you got?
I'm sorry.
No,
y'all.
I
No,
enjoy it.
keep
We
it,
hadn't talked in a
yes.
long time.
We need to do this.
I would really appreciate it if we could get the agenda and the minutes emailed to us the week before, like we used to. I mean, I wasn't sure, I called City Hall today to find out for sure if we were gonna have court.
A week before,
No, you usually on Thursday or Friday. the
I
week-
saw them Friday.
I didn't do.
I saw them last Friday,
I think I know that.
because I sent them out Friday morning.
Okay.
I do.
Well, I apologize, and I didn't get.
Okay,
but-
I have it.
I got
You may
plenty.
not have my email either.
I've got it. Unless you change your email, I should have what's active,
well,
because I've got one for every one of you.
Right here.
You got it?
And I tried to call all of you.
Oh, I know
any
you
day
did.
before.
Did you get an email?
I
back?
got a call, but I had to.
I got it all.
I
Well,
did get.
Did I tell you the 26th or the 25th?
no,
Well, I do,
you were good. You called to ask. What I'm saying is you called to ask if I could be here, which was great.
Mhm.
But I didn't know if we're gonna have court.
Well, we didn't know either.
Mhm.
You got the 20.
You didn't get it either? Okay, before you leave, I want new email addresses.
Same
address.
John,
I want your email address
I
written
turned
down
your
because I need to
address.
double check it. You got yours? Okay,
Yeah, I
because-
turned yours in.
it hasn't changed in my computer. And if you're not getting it, I don't understand unless you're not, it may be going to your spam. It's the only other thing I can think of.
But it never has. That's.
Well, anything can change if you have an update.
I will though.
I'm
Well,
telling you,
that
my
could
phone's
be
acting up.
because our computer was updated, I think.
If it's updated, it may
There it is.
recognize it. You find it?
Spam.
Okay.
Mine's not.
Did it come in?
No, I haven't got either on the spam or regular email.
We gotta check your email.
Right, that's what I said.
Well,
We're
I'll
before
sure-
leave here.
yeah,
I'll check.
I'll write it down. And we've had some computer issues.
That way I'll make sure, because we'll update, that's the issue I want to make sure of, because if you're not, then I'm somewhere in there, I've got, either it's going to span or I've got to get a new email, something's up.
No, it's probably not.
Because, yeah, I always send them out Thursday or Friday
I
before.
knew you did, that's why I
Yeah.
couldn't understand.
Yeah.
That's why I was afraid something was going on.
Well, we also are having trouble with mail, our bills going out to the UPS, United States Postal Service. Some of them are never getting delivered. So that's not, and that's becoming regular. That's not new. That's something that's happening on a regular basis. So that's another issue we've been having.
Oh, I can I can see I can see it right here, John.
Oh, I can tell you that's not the one I've been sending
No,
it to.
no, you've been sending that one.
Yes,
That's it.
okay.
Well, I
Okay,
didn't
and
know
that's
that.
mine, that's.
Well, everybody, you getting yours?
Oh.
I did, I got
Yeah.
mine,
Yeah.
All right.
so it's.
I don't know.
No, no,
I
no,
didn't-
that's it.
But I
Oh,
told
you mean the
there were
email?
two from Charles
My
last
email.
week that I
No,
didn't
mine,
delete.
that's not mine.
Apparently
it's not.
No, that's actually goes on. It's on the computer.
Well, it's just
in the
looking at
house
us
that I
as
don't hardly look
oddball,
at.
because we've
Use the
changed from
phone.
calvertcity.com to calvertcityky.gov. But surely a gov.gov would not be recognized as spam, but apparently it is. So in this case, yours,
It's just not
so-
gonna come through.
you may just need to check your spam and make sure you move us into an acknowledged sender. Yeah.
Because we've had some other people trying to get into ours. Oh, yeah. Things, we never saw those accounts before. Okay, let's see. Is that all? Is
What
that
else
all
you got?
my
What else you got?
questions? I think that's all.
Are you sure?
I think so.
Well, what about
Oh, I'm
this?
sorry, but I had. so
Have you
many
got another one?
questions. Do you have a question?
Well, no, I guess that's for other business, down here when you said what you wanted.
Well, that's last month, I think, isn't it the minutes?
Yeah,
Oh, what you got?
she said she'd like to see a memorial for our veterans.
Oh.
And I would too. Did y'all ever get that decided? I
No,
think it would
I don't
be
know.
wonderful.
We talked
Uh,
about
oh,
We
yeah.
talked.
that's all.
we don't, it depends on where you want to go with that, memorial versus the software, or possibly we might could do both, but please let me know what your priority is whether it be the software or the memorial, because if we're going to spend the money, I want to make sure I'm spending it on what you prefer, what's your first priority and second priority. That way I work toward one and then the other. So, I mean, is your preference more the software?
Well, we should have the software regardless.
Well, I mean, that your money only going to go so far, Jeff. That's what I'm saying. Which one do you want me to do first?
Well,
If
let's
it's
do one.
software,
I mean, we
then
gotta
I'll
have the
do it
record.
first.
It should be, when you upgrade all these records right here, it should be added to it regardless. It should be in the paper version, right? That you're gonna update for everyone.
Yeah,
Talking about where we're going to get the money.
I'm talking about if you want the software to do that. That's what I'm saying. We've got $8,000 we can utilize for software and memorial, if
For
that's
this
how you
year.
want to do it.
for this year,
Well,
right?
this year, yeah. I mean, we don't have to do them both this year. I'm just asking, which one do you want first?
Well, I definitely think personally, I think we need the hard copy first. And then maybe are you looking at like a monument of some type? Is that what we're talking?
We're talking.
We're
about-
just talking.
So you're talking about the software.
Yeah.
So to produce what you're asking
I
for,
want to back up a second here. If we're talking software stuff, where did this come from when we didn't have the software?
that came from a document.
And we can't get it from the document anymore?
Well, what you can't get is an updated version of that, to my knowledge. Now, if he's got an updated version, I'm not getting. I mean, he's got his, but it can be scanned in.
Let me see.
But I thought you were looking at something like a list or something of that nature, rather than
Well, we are, but I'm going,
There'll be a
if we
list
can
here.
have this without having to buy the software. Why
Just
can't we
update what we have.
just update?
Yes.
It's
but that's
simple.
gonna be, okay. That's just something that Nick will have to do.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, then you would have the veteran's name, you could put
well,
We were working on that.
we still have a lot of them we're not sure about, because either we don't know the information or we're not sure about the individual. And then there's some individuals that may be veterans that we don't have any information on at all. You're talking to people trying to use their memories and stuff like that, when others, and we've got a good list to begin with. But I'm not so sure it's comprehensive because I can't find some that they show on the list, even in our database, and others are questionable. And then, of course, she came up with some that I had on there that we didn't know because there was nothing to ask, you know. And what I want to do is on the form, like an internment form or whatever, give us some information. If they're a veteran and you don't mind, give us the information. Let us have it so we can use that.
Sure.
You know, because not every veteran was in the American Legion or VFW.
Oh, my dad wasn't.
Yep.
And he said he didn't want anything military on his grave,
Okay.
but I know for a fact he's a
Yeah,
veteran.
yes.
Well, with me, I can qualify for either one, VFW or American Legion. I'm a veteran, but I don't qualify.
Huh.
Wrong time period.
Exactly. Didn't matter that I was a veteran. It matters that I was in the wrong time period. That's exactly right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that is
Oh.
right.
Right.
And then a lot of the American Legion individuals didn't even know it, that it was that way. Because I had one that came in and said, "You need to join." I said, "I'd love to. But you won't let me." "Yes, we will." I said, "No, you won't." He found out, he went and looked at his paperwork and come back and said, "I'm sorry." I said, "Also."
The veteran's a veteran. Period.
What years was that? Do you know?
Well, there's several different time periods, okay? And mine just happened to be between 77 and 81. And then when I went to if they would have counted my National Guard time, then I qualified. But they didn't and won't. If you're in the National Guard, you don't qualify. So, and I was active service from 77 to 8 through 8 into 81. And I don't qualify for that either. My brother does because he was active service. When I was active reserve, he was active duty, and so he qualified. But also, after he got out of the Navy, he had to go back and sign up for the draft.
Wow.
Why, why haven't the veterans groups thought that wonder,
I don't know. I don't understand it at all.
you know?
Well, I didn't even know that. I didn't.
And,
Oh, I knew they were.
looking back, and the American
I was in the
Legion,
Navy and I
several
was in the
more are
Army
not
National Guard.
growing. They're
I served in both Navy and Army.
getting smaller.
That's because just like any
Yeah, but they're not.
service organization.
No.
I had over 6 years of active duty.
Is it
No.
time to hunt for foxes?
Yeah, see, that's
It's K.
right.
Probably time to go.
It does sound like that, doesn't it?
It's like he's going on a fox hunt. I didn't know.
Get those.
But yeah, she came in, Janet came in, we worked on it for, I don't know, an hour or two, didn't we? And I got some stuff cleared up and added some things, and so that was helpful. I don't have as much as I would like to have, but at least I do have identifiers that they were in the service and were a veteran, maybe not even the branch, but at least they were in the service. And we've got them on that database.
Don't forget about our Confederate veteran up there. Confederate veteran.
Okay, Union veterans.
I know that I'm not 100% sure, but I do know there's one Confederate.
In the cemetery?
I'm sure there's Union, but I don't know that. I don't know which one they are.
They weren't this family tree.
No, they're not my family. No, but I take care of that one too. I do.
I know you do.
He's got a son of the Confederate Veterans cross and all right, just to the right of the mausoleum. Here,
I don't know if that's on that list or not.
May not be, but he always, through the years, he would have, you know, when we put the American flags up, you'd pick one of those Confederate flags. It'd be great. So he was considered a veteran.
Okay. Do we have anything else? Oh,
What a
man.
crowd.
Just welcome. We were just getting ready to adjourn. Now that you're here. Oh, okay.
I've got a question.
Dale has a question.
Finally, and this is something I think you all got wind of. But there's a guy approached me wanting to put, it's not a beehive, but it's an attractor for queens to catch a swarm when they're out and around. And I promised him I'd bring it up to you. So he said he would hang it up high in the tree. He'd catch the swarm, take them away from the cemetery, add them to his beehives.
Do
You
we,
want to know if.
do we have a swarm in the cemetery,
You have had swarms in the
but
cemetery.
not right now?
Well, the closest was right close to the cemetery this spring, and I heard about somebody retrieving the queen and getting it out of the way. But he's wanting to set up to catch, evidently he wants more beehives. And he knew that a certain person had done this before, and I don't know whether he asked or he just did it.
Yeah, it's been done in our cemetery.
Yeah, okay.
We had a swarm in the cemetery at the time.
Well, he
We
put,
haven't actually drawn them in.
but he
This-
put,
this
no,
isn't-
he put the trap in the
Yeah.
tree, just like he's explaining. And told- told
This
them.
isn't getting a swarm. This is attracting. a swarm.
That's what I know.
So
So
Nearby.
anyway, he asked me to ask about that. And so I'm asking, and then I'll tell him whatever y'all decide.
And the other thing, the other guy,
I know, probably.
Yeah, and I'm gonna, until I check with risk management, I'm gonna say you, that's not a decision you can make.
I think we've got insurance issues there.
I do too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
And
I
I've
don't
been
mind him, if he wants to use somebody's property, he can use my property, because I don't have a problem, there's nobody there for me to worry about. But again, that's not city
So
property
that's
either.
really, right now, that's nothing we can answer.
No, it's
like
not.
a liability, I think.
That's something we'll have to check with insurance, risk management, see if that's something we can do.
I don't know, I don't want to get it.
And the other thing is if you allow, how do you allow one person over another? So it'd have to be something where we actually let it out for,
Whomever.
it would either have to be by a proposal, accepted proposal or something like that. But they would have to authorize me to do that, the council would. And he probably needs to speak to the mayor and ask the mayor if that's something that they would consider, so that we could do some, set
So that
something
would
up.
be the step I would tell him to do.
Have him, if he's interested in trying to pursue that, he needs to talk to the mayor. If the mayor agrees that it's okay and our research says it's okay, then we'll have to set up something that would be a proposal. Because we couldn't just say he could, but Joe Blow can't.
Hmm.
You know, and how come we're letting him do it and not letting others?
Well, that's
without
just
doing a
like fishing in
proposal.
the City pond. You know, I mean, I found out you just, not everybody can fish in the city pond. And, not everybody, you don't want everybody putting out a beehive out there on the cemetery, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll just have him.
Just have him either contact me
But I
or
just wanted to get this off my chest because he's been after me for 8 months.
tell him, give me a call. Just tell him, give me a call, and I'll get him routed where he needs to go and get some information and go from there.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Sure.
That
No, it's no problem.
liabilities, it shot me down a bunch of projects over there at the cemetery.
Shoots me down a bunch of projects all over this place.
I'm used to doing whatever I want
Me
to. Nobody else wants to, so I, you know.
No comment.
Okay, I think that's all. Is that all? I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, second.
I'll second.
Gayla, and all in favor.
ah.
And we're adjourning at 5:10. Thank you, everybody. It was good to